Hello everybody and welcome back to First Friday with Flinders. Today we're going to give you a little insight into what we've actually been doing over the last 6 months. Like everybody, we've had our challenges, but as so often happens with those challenges and with your support, we've been able to reinvent the way that we conduct our rehearsals. Today we're going to look at one of the platforms we've been using called BandLab. Its pros and cons and includes some little snippets of some of the works we've been rehearsing using BandLab, Beethoven's Opus 132 and Deborah Cheetham's Bungaree. Deborah's work was meant to be premiered as part of our October concerts. It's now going to be premiered as part of the Monash University M Live series, streamed in November. Stay tuned for that one. So whilst it's not pure music today, hopefully it gives you a bit of a backstory about how we've been working towards the day when we are able to deliver live concerts. We have everything crossed for live music in 2021 and we're putting the final touches on our 2021 brochure. We can't wait to share it with you. So sit back and enjoy our story about BandLab and what we've been up to, and we very much look forward to seeing you next month for First Friday with Flinders. A huge thank you to everybody that has helped get us through this time. Our thoughts are with you all and we can't wait to share music from the concert stage, hopefully next year. See you later. Back in April, when the effect of COVID was just beginning to become known, a friend of us gave us some information about BandLab. There is a quartet in America whose members all live in different states and they've been using this technology for years. So with nothing to lose and a lot more time on our hands than usual, we decided to give it a go. The premise is simple. One person records an initial track. The next member records their part while listening to the first person, and so on, until the last person who is listening to the 3 parts while they record theirs on top. Then that process can continue indefinitely while the piece is being learned. We experimented with recording to a click track or a metronome, recording with no click track, and turning the click off after the first person had recorded. It's important to note that we've only been using BandLab as a rehearsal tool. Our end goal was not to produce a studio recording, and so its benefits surely are evident. It's given us a chance to feel like we're still playing in an ensemble whilst we're not able to be in the same room together. As we emerge hopeful out of the Melbourne lockdown, we've created this retrospective about our experience.
I like that you can sort of have your own agenda for your own personal rehearsal. So, you can sort of use the tracks that we've recorded or playing with whoever you want to play to fix the bits that really need fixing for you personally.
I think one of the most interesting things for me was to be rehearsing without talking. And so, for instance, if something wasn't working, instead of discussing it, all I could do was see what I could do and adjust in my playing to make something better. And I found that a really interesting process.
If there's some hard, tricky bits for ensemble or, just getting to know a new score or something, it's really useful to be able to just hone in on those spots that you find confusing and just do them. So, it's quite efficient in that way, actually, because you're just sort of dealing with all your issues.
The other thing I really loved was being able to practice certain sections as many times as I wanted without having any fear of saying, can we just do it another time, please? I really loved that. And also being able to play it with, mute someone and, play with 2 people or 1 person. That was really amazing.
Just sort of being able to isolate voices and, play your part in a particular section with 1 other person or 2 other people, or, that kind of being able to manufacture your own sort of setup for what you need at a particular time. I find
that
very
stuff
useful.
We did at the beginning with metronome work, half speed sort of stuff, that was really, I think that was really useful, because that felt like a rehearsal. You could practice things half speed, you could listen to things a bit slower. And I mean, you could do that just on your own without the group, but it's just nice that we were all doing that together and then we working off each other's parts just to have that sense of a quartet rehearsal.
About it. I also like that you can do it any time of the day or night. So you can rehearse with your friends at midnight if you want to, and I do some of that. I do some quite constructive work late at night when everything's quiet and I can sort of focus really well. The worst thing is being not very sort of technologically clever myself. The worst thing is sort of figuring it out for a start and just getting comfortable with the platform and using it. So I'm still learning all the time. I discover things that I don't know or should have been doing differently.
I mean, it can't be the same as rehearsing in the same room because the tracks you're playing with are unresponsive. So at least they're unresponsive until the next time someone records and responds to what you've been doing. So, I mean, and that was both good and bad, I guess. I found it quite interesting having those boundaries in place, that someone wasn't going to move and respond to me. But at the same time, obviously, that is limiting to some extent and can make the end result a bit mechanical.
The worst thing is, I think I came to the recording process not as prepared as I would have for a real rehearsal, I think. So I kind of thought at the beginning, I'll just learn it as I record it, because you can record in chunks and takes. And then I found that I just went over and over and over and over the same bits, never really satisfied or happy with what I was doing.
It's quite hard to hear, even though you put your headphones on, you've got the best sound setup you can have and all of that. It's not quite the same immediacy and subtlety of real live sound right next to you. So I find that makes the ensemble issues, like trying to play with somebody electronically, a little bit more tricky, and also just even hearing my own sound. So I'm hearing my own sound through headphones. It's not like what I'm used to under my ear just by itself. So it's sort of hard for me to judge what I'm doing sometimes, and it's hard to talk about really because it's so subtle.
Well, I definitely think it's got use going forward for us or other people in terms of especially coming to the first rehearsal better prepared. I've really found that I could do a lot more using this technology to turn up feeling like I just know every little bit of the score, especially if it's a piece that's not recorded.
I think that it's a useful tool, going forward if for us and for anybody. I think that one of its most useful functions is sort of for learning new repertoire, for kind of figuring out the nuts and bolts of how things, fit together, who's doing what when, and, just stuff like that you can kind of nut out. Which of course you can do by yourself with the score and all that too, but there's something quite nice about already being able to, hear other parts and, play with other people. I think the metronome track is useful, but it's also, great to be liberated from it and to, have to hear the kind of the fine detail of what's going on with sound and all that.
I think it's got a future. I mean, like for us, like me living in Sydney and you guys in Melbourne, like we can get pieces to a point. We just know that we're going to get to the first rehearsal having a level already, like having a high level of ideas. And even like we've had some, some small meetings discussing bowings and maybe some phrasings and articulations, and just to have those sorted now, like before anything starts, is really useful. Like if remote rehearsing makes that process happen quicker and more effectively, then it's a great thing.
So now it's time for you to enjoy some of the results of our work on BandLab. Here is the first movement of Deborah Cheetham's string quartet, written especially for us, called Bungaree. It's a powerful, emotive work, and we are certainly very grateful to have had this piece to work on during this time. Enjoy.